So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another episode of Visit That Bag, where we take a look at an album that got mixed reviews and we check it out again and we do the three rounds. On the first round, we talk about our first impressions listening to the album. On round number two, we pick three songs that we may think are the weakest or four, depending on how you want to do it. And on the third and final round, we give it a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So we on this episode, we have first of all someone who's doing the Easy That for the first time, and we have someone that hasn't been on the channel in a year but did two episodes. So I wanted to go into the prog world, and Notes Review said that we should do this album by Genesis-Abacab that was released originally in 1981. I gotta be honest, I never had listened to this album, and I'm fairly raw when it comes to Genesis. So I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. So we're gonna talk about this album. So first of all, Notes Reviews, tell us a little bit about the background of why you picked this album.
Oh boy, the background. So this is one of my least favorite records. I, this is the one big blemish in a catalog of banger albums from Genesis. Even like I really still enjoy their poppy stuff. The albums that came before and they came after, I think they're all great. They all have great material, but this is just the one that I cannot wrap my head around what their thought process was. I think it might have been a contractual obligation. I don't know about this one. They took a lot of swings, and in my opinion, none of them hit. So yeah, whenever anybody kind of goes to, what is almost like a punchline album, I always kind of point to this one as being like one of those punchline records of, oh, I'm on a road trip, what album will make me jump out of the car, kind of an idea. Yeah, yeah, that's why I picked it, because I'm like, let's see if we can find any redeeming qualities out of this thing.
Yeah, and I went online to check the reviews, and it did have some mixed reviews. Like some
Hmm.
people were mad that they apparently, they abandoned their progressive rock sound for more pop elements. But I was having an interesting conversation with Lorenzo because we're fairly new to it, and but we listened to Phil Collins, and I thought,
Hmm.
well, it sounds like Phil Collins.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we have obviously returning Lorenzo the professor. How are you, Lorenzo?
I am good. I'm good. I'm actually very excited to talk about a band like Genesis because we're usually talking about Puddle of Mud and Steven Seagal and Macho Man Randy Savage. So
Yeah.
Hey, you haven't lived until you listen to Randy Savage or Al Record.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
so this is a good change of pace.
yes, and
Glad I could provide.
rounding out the panel for the first time on the channel, we have Pepe Pesante. Pepe, how are you?
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I'm good, man. It's interesting to talk about this. It's an album that I hadn't heard in a while. It's an album that I also have mixed feelings about, especially because we'll get to it. But there's a song I really love about on this record, and then to like for years, to me, everything that's around that song absolutely. I'm not gonna say it sucks, but it's baffling. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Okay,
It's
okay, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I definitely I'm very excited to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, so awesome. So we kind of did the first round right here. Our first thing. Well, no, we haven't done the first round. So well, Notes kind of did. So Notes, when did you first listen to this album, Notes?
This one, I hadn't listened to this one for a long, long time, just because I was almost afraid of it. Like I grew up with, the 70s Genesis, and even absorbing a lot of their radio friendly stuff just through osmosis, through, my classic rock radio stations. But I found like the classic rock radio stations would play like Misunderstanding, Turn It On Again, Mama, Home by the Sea, but they would conveniently skip over anything from this record. And in my experience, I would only listen to, Trespass all the way to Duke. So I always kind of stopped at this one. The first time I actually sat down and listened to it, I must have been in college or like doing my master's degree. Um, and I was so confused of like, how did we go from Duke and then to their self-titled Shape album, and this is the connecting tissue between those two records. Like something's lost in translation in that sense. So that was the first time I sat down and listened to it. So it was probably about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago.
So Lorenzo, I know Lorenzo and me, I think we listened to it this week.
Yes, never heard this album before. I'd heard, this is the thing. I've heard some. I had like a moment of, let's listen to prog music to see what it's about. So I did my, Emerson, Lake and Palmer and the the big old school prog bands, 70s prog, yes, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis was not one I actually got into or actually checked out for some reason. I don't know why. It wasn't like a conscious effort to not listen to it. I guess I like Yes so much that I stayed listening to Yes a lot. But this, I realized that I knew a lot of Genesis songs, but most of them were from later in their career. The more poppy songs, the more radio friendly songs. So I that's why this was something that I was like, oh wait, this is something interesting because it's a band that I never really gave a lot of time to. But I should, because it's a pretty well-known band. So I was surprised that I never even heard of this album. And I think even without knowing a lot about the band and about the history of the band and all that, I think it's a pretty strange album, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, good first thought. So what about you, Pepe?
Well, this album was part of my. Well, I started listening to like prog rock around 90, early 90s when Dream Theater's the second album came out, the Images and Words, and that was like the big what is this? I grew up listening to hair metal, and then I went from that to like start listening to thrash and harder stuff. And then I have a bunch of friends that were like into punk rock and hardcore, so I went through that too. I learned about goth and industrial. It is all like before leaving high school, you could say. So but then when Images and Words came out, I was like, I want to know more about prog rock. So I went to that, like Lorenzo said, like I went to the big, the big guns, the big four, if you think about it, which is Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Those four bands, which are like the crown jewels of prog, right? And then I discovered King Crimson, which has changed my life, and that's a tale for another time. But then of all the discographies that I went through, I would say that Genesis was the most like the word I can use is baffling. Like the changes that they took, stuff the routes that they took to make the music that I knew from the radio. Because the only thing I knew about Genesis was I saw the video with the puppets, the
Land of Confusion.
Land of Confusion. I
Land of
remember
Confusion, yeah.
scaring the crap out of me first time I saw it when I was younger. And yeah, I remember listening to the hits that came out, from that album, from Invisible Touch and We Can't Dance. And I remember that's what I remember for Genesis. So then when I start listening to prog and finding Genesis named along these other bands. I'm like, what is this? So I went back, listened to the stuff, and then as my you know as my ADHD mind does, I have to listen to stuff chronologically so I can understand the band's growth and stuff, and that's what I do. The whole that's why I use the word baffling, because it's like I can hear I can hear where they're going, and Duke is such an amazing album. Honestly, Duke is like, I actually listened to Duke after I heard Abacab the last time for this recording. I as soon as I finished it, wait a minute, I gotta listen to Duke again, and it's almost like it's night and day, honestly. So, but then as I grew, as my music taste grew, and I listened to way more stuff experimental. I like went deep into that whole period. Early 80s, where all those rock bands were going synth, very synth heavy and more like poppy sound. And you got the Owner of a Lonely Heart by Guess, and then you got the Emerson Lake and Powell thing, which was very poppy too compared to what ELP originally was. And Asia, where you got all these people that are huge, monster players of prog rock, and they're like heat of the moment. Like what? Like what are these people doing? So it was confusing. But then as I started listening to that progression, I understood where this album comes in. I understand why this album happens, right? And especially knowing about the history of the band. But still, that doesn't save it. That doesn't really give it a higher position, right? In my taste, because as I said, the one song that I love about this album is Dodo Lurker. I love that song. Honestly, it's I don't know why, I really really like it. And but then everything that's around it, to me, it's it's so confusing. It's I read about the recording process, the way they went with new. They actually produced it themselves, and this guy, I know I'm a butcher his name, but Hugh Patchnam, something like that. He worked with Sting and Phil Collins. And he worked as a producer, but he only did like engineering for them for that album. And he's like responsible for that, introducing some of that 80s sounding stuff, because he did the drums for that Intruder album, with Intruder, the song, Peter Gabriel, that's Phil Collins playing. It's got all those gated drums, and that's big 80s, sound that like would define the decade. So yeah, I mean, that's my history with the album. I once I went through their catalog, and then I did what most people do. I stuck to the albums that I really love, and then I only went back to it whenever I was like, well, you know what, it's been a while since I've heard everything that they put out, so might as well just, or I'm in the mood to listen to something that I haven't heard in a while. I would look it up, but then I will only go to just one or two songs, because it's a weird one. I gotta say, it's a weird one.
Yeah, good. You almost had a thesis there.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Gonna give his rating, and we were only on round one. So for me, like Lorenzo, I'm fairly raw with Genesis. It's weird, but you know what? It's the 80s, man. Everyone was high on cocaine. So
Yep.
like I've talked about a few albums from the 80s. We did one for when Bruce Dickinson did a solo record.
Oh,
Went like, I'm telling you, it was a weird one as well. I blame the 80s and cocaine, but it's weird because there's some songs that are like really weird and out there, and then there's some songs that sound like Phil Collins ballad. So it's like a weird or ballady, but the weird, they're like really really weird. And I want to know what the fuck is an Abacab?
So I actually, so Abacab is a song structure, and that's what most pop song structures are. It's A B A C A B. Um, and that's they decided to do that because they're like, oh yeah, this doesn't have that kind of same song structure. A lot of these songs will kind of fit in that, which is why like the actual cover of the album itself, there's four variations of it, all of the same style, and it's like that's their interpretation of like the pop songs. It's like they all have the same style, but it's all in different colors. So yeah, that's what an abacab is.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's basically verse, chorus, verse, bridge, verse, chorus.
Oh my God. Yeah. Thank you for. Yeah, I don't know if someone knows notes. So I'm like, what the? Because he didn't the Wikipedia. I'm like, what the fuck is an abacab?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really out there. But the other thing I knew about Genesis that Peter Gabriel was the original singer, and I love Peter Gabriel's like solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see a picture, there's a picture of Spotify of Peter Gabriel bald next to Phil Collins, and Peter Gabriel looks like an evil Phil Collins.
Yeah, I've seen that meme.
like the evil Phil Collins. So that's the round one. So let's go to round two, where we're gonna pick the three songs that maybe are the weakest. So notes, what songs did you pick and why?
Okay, I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm cheating because like obviously the big one is Who Done It. I think that's the worst song that this group has ever written, to the point where I believe when they were touring this album, not only were the fans booing, but like their stagehands were also like, oh gosh, not this song again.
That's insane. I've never heard that.
Yeah. Like even the stagehands were like, oh god, can they just remove that from the set list? And I think like I want to say they actually did remove it at one point. You can see it being performed on Three Sides Live, the extended Blu-ray edition, and it is just atrocious. The other two is man, this is tough. This is tough. Keep It Dark is also in my ears just very grainy and very like the sounds aren't good in it. Um and I can't handle that one. And I think for the last one, I've been going back and forth as to which one I want to do for my third one, but I think I gotta put Man on a Corner because it's just kind of boring in my mind. Um, Whereas at least most of the other songs go somewhere. I feel like Man on a Corner just stays in its place and doesn't really do anything. So yeah, those would be my three. Who Done It is definitely like the crowning anti-jewel in this crown.
Nice. Good picks, man. So what about you, Lorenzo?
Okay. For me, I think I probably picked songs they seem that I think they were trying to do something, but it doesn't seem to translate to the listener. And this is from someone that had no idea about their prog music, prog rock background, and I'm listening to this fresh, and when I heard Who Done It, I mean that it's like a song that would make me not listen to an album again. It's that bad. I mean, and I was thinking to myself, am I being too harsh on it? Am I not, open to the experimentation of, for me, prog music I've always had this experience with prog music. There's some things that are like instantly, this is amazing. For me, like Pink Floyd, King Crimson, those was instantly amazing. But there's some prog rock music that's like, it takes a while to settle in. It takes a couple of songs, spins for it to actually grow on you. But I tried. I listened to this song like 3 times just to see if I was going insane.
Yeah.
But this song is horrible. It's just it's I would imagine they could use this for torture. It's
I-
so
I think-
grating.
Yeah, not to step over your toes, but I think they originally wanted this to be like a punk song. I think they went into the studio to be like, oh, we're gonna write a punk song because punk was, pretty big for the past couple of years.
Oh no.
And I'm like, this is their idea of going punk? Oh.
Yeah, in fact, sorry to butt in, but
Go ahead.
it's definitely I would say that's the intention. That song is I think it's totally made to sound like a new wave song, right? Like what was happening with new wave and those bands that were going, the Devo influence and all the
Mm.
synth punk that was coming up. I think that this is their way of saying, like, hey, we're cool. We can, we can play with the young guns. We can do something that's kind of new wavy, noisy, weird, and it's not.
Yes. So that one was I mean, I could probably end there because it's that bad. I think Keep It Dark is also, but I didn't hate it. It's just this is my thing with this album. I didn't, besides Who Done It, I didn't hate any other song. Maybe Who Done It, maybe that track is put there just so you don't hate everything else. Everything else seems better by comparison. But it was like a tame soft rock, there was nothing there. I didn't love the sound, the how they recorded the drums there. It's like the first time that the drums sound weird. They're too loud. I mean, I know they I read that they made them a little louder for this album, but in this song is the first song where it actually hurts for me. It doesn't sound well. Yeah, good. The other one, and I'm sorry, Pepe, but I did not like Dodo Lurker.
That's cool.
And I didn't think it was bad. It's just that it was too weird for me to get into it. Maybe a couple more listens to it, and I would get into it. But for 2 listens, I couldn't get into it. I did not like the like sky-ish sound on this song. It felt too weird for me, especially coming from tamer stuff, from like more the soft, the more poppy sound of the songs before that. But those are my bottom 3.
Nice. So, Lorenzo, did you listen to Who Done It 3 times to figure out who did it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I know who did it.
What's the calling?
It was cocaine. Cocaine did it.
First name Bill, last name Collins.
And he wrote Studio. So yeah, great pick. So now Pepe, your picks.
Listen, this album has one of the worst openers in Genesis catalog. Abacab is a song that I cannot stand. The way Tony Banks plays the keyboards, the melodies, there's something about it that almost sounds like he's lost in the rhythm, like he's not like on time with them, but it's not like counterpoint. It doesn't sound cohesive to my ears. I don't know why. It's a song that this is something that I've felt since I heard it for the first time. It's just a song that I don't really dig. And then I would say I don't want to keep destroying who done it because everyone's piling on it. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Keep It Dark, or maybe Me and Sarah Jane is a song that's been included in like list of like good tracks of this album, and I honestly not this time that I listened for this recording, I didn't find the redeeming value. I mean it's not as bad as Who Done It. That's all I'm gonna say. And but fun fact, Who Done It was considered as a single. Who Done It was considered as a single. Not only that, Atlantic Records president, Ahmed Erdogan, he wanted to have that song. Like he heard it and said that song has to be on the album, and they wanted at some point it was going to be a single. And I'm like, oh my god, man, cocaine! It's powerful. It's powerful. Let me tell you. But I mean, the rest of the album is it's. I mean, when I get to Doro after that, it's just something that it's just in the background for me. It's none of the songs after that really do anything for me.
Awesome, man. So you got your free pick. So that leaves me. So I was reading background on this album, and apparently there's some critics that I read. They said that they thought that Who Done It was some of the most experimental, great things that I'm like, did they listen to the same track that I listened?
Just because it's an experiment, it doesn't mean that it works.
I find this song extremely annoying. It was so annoying that I had to turn off the album and listen to something else. I'm like, oh my god, this what the hell? It's like there was like a screeching. It hurt my ears. Like this could be used if I want to torture my kids. I'll put this on. It's like, you made me listen to Hello Kitty. Listen to this. Like, yeah, it's just so bad. But I did pick a different one. I did pick Me and Sarah J.
Interesting.
But it was a weird ballad, and I don't know. It was like this, like the flow of the song is strange. It's like I don't know. I couldn't connect with it. I'm like I'm not feeling your Phil Callingness. I get to admit, I think Abacab is a weird song, but I kind of dig it.
Same.
Yeah, I kind of dug that track. I thought, I don't know. I'm not a musician, so I don't know if they were off time or off key, but I thought it was an interesting track. So I didn't pick that. The other one that I picked was the Keep It Dark. And when I was listening to that track, I thought of like it sounded to me like like the song that says like she covered me with science. I don't know why. I'm like, it sounds like that song, and that song's meant to be a joke. So I don't know. It was weird, and like I said, the drums were like very loud for that one, and it's just like the weird scenes to it. It's kind of weird. It's a weird track, and not be compared to Who Done It is a masterpiece, but yeah, I'm pretty hands down Who Done It. Probably the worst song that Genesis ever wrote. I haven't heard their whole albums, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. Yeah. So we all picked songs, and we all picked Who Done It. So now we're going to the third and final round, where we give our last final thoughts, and we vote thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. Those your final thoughts and vote.
Yeah, so like this album has been with me for a long time, and it's only been within maybe the past 5 years that I have found some kind of an enjoyment out of it. Maybe it's just through osmosis or acquiring the taste kind of thing, habituation. It's gotten to the point where I don't run to the stereo to turn this thing off, which was definitely the case when I first heard it. I have grown to appreciate some of the things that they were doing, like a lot of the production innovations that they were doing is quite fascinating, especially when you get down to some of the nitty gritties in terms of the production work. But, the album itself can sound fantastic, but if the music doesn't support it, then, you can only shine a turd so much. I gave this boy a listen this evening, and I found myself headbanging a little bit to a couple of tracks and a couple of moments, but it's still very far and away from any other album from Genesis. Like the only other records from Genesis that I could say are even beginning to be on this level is maybe from Genesis to Revelations and a little bit of Calling All Stations, but I would go to both of those records far before I go back to this one. So even with Me and Sarah Jane and Dodo Lurker, which are a little bit more of their proggy tracks on that. I don't think it's enough to save this record in any way. So for me, it still gets the thumbs down. I think it'll get the thumbs down for a very, very long time. Yeah, sure, it may have inspired, artists moving forward and change the scene a little bit, but not in a good way. So yeah, thumbs down for me.
We have our first vote, a thumbs down. What about you, Lorenzo?
This was a hard album for me to decide what I wanted to vote. I've been teetering, because there's I didn't hate a lot of it. I definitely hated Who Done It because yes, but I didn't hate most of it. But also there was really no songs there that will stay with me at all. Which is, I think, even if you have like an album that's not that great, if you have like one song that'll save it for people, maybe. And I'm pretty sure there's somebody who loves some of these songs, but I did like what I think Prague especially has this thing where everybody can get like something that probably somebody else will not, especially prog music, since it's so experimental. Something that might not somebody not like, somebody else is gonna love. And it happens in music in general, but in prog music I think it's even more extreme. And for example, I enjoyed Abacab. I thought that was a very interesting song, and I liked Me and Sarah Jane because it was that weirdness. I was expecting a pop album. That's when I was reading everything, I was like, oh, this is a pop album. And then I hear Me and Sarah Jane, I'm like, wait, this doesn't sound like a pop song to me. I mean, it's prog light probably, but but it's not a pop song. Um, but most of this album is just kind of forgettable, I think. And that's, I think, probably the worst thing that could happen. Because I mean, at least Who Done It, I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna remember how bad it was. so so it's kind of sad that this, I'm not gonna take something from this album and put it in my playlist, because that's what I'm ultimately looking for. I don't want albums to suck. I want to enjoy them. So sadly, I think this gets a thumbs down. But with the caveat that is not as bad as like Puddle of Mud or or Steven Seagal or
Like Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Esca-
I was gonna say, just wait until I get you guys to listen to the Shags. Then we're gonna be talking about some really intense music there.
Okay.
My
Hey,
pal Footfoot.
I'm up for discovering new stuff all the time, so I'm up for
Okay,
it.
check out the Shags. Two
The
G's.
Shags.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
my pal Footfoot. You're gonna enjoy that one.
Yeah, my pal Foot.
Oh yeah, gonna have you tapping your foot and all the weird. These people don't know how to play their instruments. Time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Think of an entire album of nothing but Who Done It.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Oh,
that
that sounds horrible.
horrible. So we have two thumbs down. Pepe, your final thoughts and vote.
Well, here's the thing, though. As much as I feel very confused and as I said, baffled by this album, it's also kind of makes sense to me. It makes sense, like when you listen, not when you listen to their discography, but also you keep in mind that Phil Collins' solo album came out before this, and it did have some kind of influence because The horn section from Earth, Wind, and Fire is here, and one of the songs that we actually never mentioned, and I really like it. No Reply at All. It does sound like a song that could be in one of Phil Collins's early solo albums, so it has that vibe. And I think that big artists have very little space to some big artists have very little space to experiment and change and mutate in front of their audience. A lot of their people, a lot of people either are artists that are constantly changing, so fans expect to change, and then there's the ones that people are like, we don't want you to change. Just do AC/DC, just do the same album 17 times. So and I commend the band. If I could take a time machine to that time, I would say, hey, you know what, great effort. To me, it's not even thumbs down. It's here. It's meh. It's I like that they took the time to experiment, but I don't enjoy all the results. But I like also that if you listen to their discography, this is the album that's letting you know we're headed into something very different from Lambs Like Down on Broadway and Selling England by the Pound, and even stuff like, and then there were three, which is still very proggy compared to this. So I appreciate that. I appreciate I appreciate the lesser loved albums that bands have. So I would say it's medium. It's not even a full thumbs down.
Okay, so it's a sideways.
Sideways, yeah. There you go.
2 thumbs down and a thumb sideways. So I didn't. I thought this was a very strange record. I thought No Reply at All sounded like a Phil Collins solo track too. It has some horns on it, and,
Yep.
and I thought of like the because I think I've listened to more Phil Collins than Genesis, so maybe those songs I listen to. Yes, but there's some atrociously weird bad songs here, like Who Done It. But I think I enjoyed this more than I thought that I would. It's not a thumbs up, people, but I also gave it it's a thumb sideways, tilting a little bit. So it's it's weird, and I'm not gonna go back to it, but I also I listen to a lot of shit here. So that's why, because Phil Collins is a great vocalist, he's got a great voice, and I don't think they're bad musicians. I just think this album is strange. Maybe if I was in the 80s with having cocaine, I would think that, oh, this is great. Maybe that guy who wanted Who Done It, he had to be high on something, because that song, if I would go in the past and be a producer, I say throw that song in the trash. Maybe if it wasn't for that, otherwise this could have even been a thumb slider up. But so there's 2 thumbs sideways and 2 thumbs down. So this is it's hanging in there. Yeah. We needed someone else, but I didn't invite Rock of All Ages because he said that he would have given it a thumbs up, and I'm like, no, you're on. Oh. So yeah, if Rock of All Ages would have been here, it would have been safe. But right now, it's hanging by a balance. So it's the definition of a mixed album. So yeah, but we've heard worse things. So Couchers, comment down below. What do you think of Genesis-Abacab? Let us know, how would you rate it? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down? So I want to thank my panel for joining me. First of all, Notes Reviews. If you haven't checked out his channel, that he has my go-to channel for prog. If I want prog album reviews, I'll go to Notes Reviews. And if I sometimes do prog album reviews, so I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to explain like Notes.
You got it.
And just subscribe.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very close to having 18,000 subscribers, so thank you.
Amazing.
That's a lot of people, and And yeah, that it's awesome because he talks about like prog albums that no people talk about.
I was going to say, if you want to hear how this album should have sounded like, you should check out Kairos's record, Kyros, and their record Mannequin. That is how this album should have sounded like.
Yeah, that sounds it.
I wrote it down.
So Notes, what do you have coming up on your channel?
Oh boy. Well, I just released Archrest's latest album, Waving at the Sky. For anybody that loves prog music, they're the intersection between Opeth and Porcupine Tree.
Wait, what was the name?
Archrest. It's AVRKRV, something like that.
Okay.
It's a weird spelling. Waving at the Sky is the album. It drops tomorrow. So that just dropped. I've got new reviews for Magic Pie, which is a great progressive rock band, Catatonia, and I think that there was another album Eden Song, which is another prog band. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm dropping a video where I don't know if you guys have the same kind of algorithm that I do on my social medias, but I have been inundated with Heavy's headphones of like every other person is recommending that I buy these Heavy headphones. So I did it for the content and I actually review the Heavy headphones. It's like, are these things any good? Like, are they worth what everybody's talking to them about? So that's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Nice. I haven't. Nobody's sent me anything about headphones, man.
Oh yeah, like Arjun Lucasen from Arion was talking about them. One of the guys from Sepultura was talking about them. Mike Portnoy and Jordan Rudess were gushing about them, and I'm like, okay, every single one of you were paid to talk about it. I want somebody that wasn't paid to talk about this, give an opinion about it. So, yeah, I mean, they're fine.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, they're fine.
Eden Song. I actually Notes reviews. I actually interviewed Eden Song on the channel.
Oh, that's fantastic! I love that. Yeah, their latest album is fantastic. Like, it really blew me away.
Yeah. So if you like those reviews, like a channel I did interview Eden Song and they talk about their last album, rock stuff. I got the promo, so I got to, because I got to interview them. I got to listen to the album before. Very stuff. Like what they do.
Very interesting. It's hard to even categorize them, really, like outside of just saying progressive rock.
Yeah, they have some different things to them that I thought they were interesting. So yeah, one. So I will listen to your thoughts. So Lorenzo the Professor, he doesn't have a channel, but like he'll be back soon on Is It That Bad? So after this one, I'm doing a few episodes, but we're doing Rockstar Supernova, the new 4 album. But Lorenzo, we're talking about the new Hinder record. Yes, people, they have a record. Band, the League of an Angel, they're back. They're back. So I'm like, whatever. They were made for this, and also I'll talk on. We're gonna do an Is It That Bad for the new Bob Sherry, and later on in July, we're the return of Señorita Sabrosura. We're doing an Is It That Bad for the new Arcade Fire Pink Elephant.
That's a stinker. That's a stinker. That's one that will get the 2 thumbs down. Like, I thought, if you think Abacab is bad, oh man, Pink Elephant is real bad.
I started listening to it, and the first song on the record, my first initial thought is like, is this a song?
Oh no.
But I'll in July, I'll do that one with Señorita Sabrosura. I think the Green Man and Rock of All Ages will be on that one. So there's a tons of episodes coming for Is It That Bad? So I know Lorenzo will be for the Hinder episode.
Yeah, this is what I get. I mean,
and Pepe, thank you for doing this episode. So Pepe actually worked with Señorita Sabrosura back in her Hot Topic days, and Pepe, you had a radio station, right, or a program?
I used to produce a radio show called Frecuencias Alternas, which we did for Radio Universidad de Puerto Rico for 16 years. It was an amazing time. It's one of my favorite projects that I've ever done, like ever. I've been trying to get back to something that's music related, so I might end up, making a channel and talking about music because there's a lot of prog and there's a lot of experimental stuff that I really like. That I don't I think that the stuff that you do, like you mentioned Hinder and Buckcherry and all this. I know all those bands, but it's not something that I would like to maybe dive into. I would rather dive into, like, I don't know, something else, so that's why I'm hoping to get out of to get something out soon. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I have something ready, and then we can talk about it. But I was going to recommend one of these. I don't know if you've done it yet, because I know that you have a playlist with all the episode of these kind of show. But um I was thinking of the Celtic Frost, Cold Lake. That's like that hair metal album. The Celtic Frost, the metal band.
We haven't done that album.
Well, then you have
That
to do
sounds
that, and you have to let me know because we got to talk about that album. That is another album that I listened to recently, and that's the one that I've heard it since I was a kid, man. And to this day, I have both love and hate for that album. So I really want to talk about it. So yeah, definitely. If you ever do it, let me know.
Lorenzo already called dibs on that one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Down to talk that one. I think that's one. We haven't talked Celtic Frost, so that's a good one for sometime later in the year. And yeah, Pepe, and I'll let you know so you come back to the channel. So Couchers, thank you, for watching these episodes on Pepe. On I have to talk about this crappy album because my Couchers expected.
I
Actually,
understand.
the Hinder one, I got messages like, why aren't you talking about the new Hinder? And it's because I didn't know they had a fucking record. I didn't even know they were a band. But yeah, so yeah, and that's what we're coming up. So this weekend, I think I'm reviewing the new Byzantine record. I know there's a new Fallujah album as well. I don't know if
it's dropping tomorrow.
it's dropping.
Excited about that.
Promo for that one. I'm kind of like lukewarm with them. Some things I like, some things I'm like, eh. But yeah, if you haven't, thank you for the new subscribers. We passed the 2,000 mark a few like a week ago, and the channel keeps growing. I keep getting people that listen to me in other parts of the world. So thank you for listening to my humble opinions from the couch for the last 3 years. So thank you for everyone for watching, and until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and we'll see you all next time on another episode of Is It That Bad? Thank you and goodbye.